It sounds so good. Vance with Vbd-Retail here, and today we are talking about the Vers36 modular multi-cal suppressor. Now, before we get into that, I do want to thank our sponsor, Vbd-Retail. Those guys are pretty dang cool. They're the reason why we're able to go and check out all these different things, test different suppressors, get some ammo to burn downrange, and just genuinely have a good time. So do them a favor, check out their website. They got some neat stuff on there. Or if you see them pop up at a event, go check it out. They tend to have some machine guns that people can play around with. But let's get into this review now. Today we are going over the Vers36 modular 36 cal suppressor. Historically, multi-cal suppressors tend to be called the jack of all trades, master of none, and that was my concern with this. So we made sure we tried it on a lot of calibers. 9mm, 223, 556, 308, 38 special, 7.62 by 3.9 on an 8-inch barrel, and 6.5 Creedmoor.
There's no crack, dude.
Now, before we get into performance, let's talk about what this thing is exactly. So this is an all titanium suppressor, and it is modular. So what you're looking at right now is in full configuration, and due to YouTube guidelines, I'm going to use a little bit of magic and show you what the short configuration looks like. And here we are in the short configuration. Here is your extension. So you can run this thing in a long configuration, you can run it in a short configuration, whatever is best going to fit your needs. Now they also come from the factory with two different direct thread end caps. One's going to be your 1/2 by 28 thread pitch, the other is going to be your 5/8 by 24. So this one has your 223 9mm covered, and this is going to be all of your 30 cal offerings. Besides like weird AK thread pitches, although that Galil was still in 5/8 by 24, so that was convenient here in the US. Now the end caps themselves have a pretty nifty design in there. You got that little pattern which actually matches the wrenches that it comes with, and they just slide right in there and you can twist them off. If you happen to lose your wrenches, I'm sure there's plenty of things you can figure out what to stick in there and how to twist that off on you. Of course, these suppressors are hub compatible, so if you don't want to use the direct thread mounts that it comes with, you can just pop anything else on there, whether it be your Rearden, Surefires, NATOs, Xenos, Chemo, if you're that kind of guy. We actually did some tests with the Mark 12 hub on the back end of this. Just screw in whatever you want, you can use it. Now let's take a look at the design inside of this thing and see what's going on in there. What makes this thing different? What kind of sauce did they put into it? Because quite honestly, it's a very unique balance between flow-through, hybrid, reduced back pressure, but still following a bit of the standard and classic Rotex star baffle design. So looking into the baffle stack, what we have is this kind of spiral going around the outside. And then if you look around the outer edges, there's these spirals going in an opposite direction that have tiny little vents that run right down the sides. So there's two essentially separate chambers going around the outside of the baffle in opposite directions. And then you can see on the other side, we start to see that unique star pattern that B&T is famous for. And there's a cutout there, so it corkscrews all the way around, going down the suppressor. So you're hitting those normal star baffles, while also the gas itself is swirling around it. And then those outer channels actually vent on the short side right out of these lines from separate chambers. So it looks like they're completely separate from that internal baffle. Then as we get to the extension, you can really see that star baffle shape and that corkscrew that wraps around. So you're hitting essentially normal baffles, but still sliding that gas in the circle. And these all vents that line up with the outer chambers continue along the outside. Where we finally get to the end where your center baffle spiral starts to release, you can see the cuts on the external sleeve, external chambers, I guess you could say, going in an opposite direction, so that causes turbulence, but those chambers themselves actually vent out into the atmosphere through these holes on the outside. So what we got is kind of a hybrid of their patented star baffle design, though it is corkscrewed going out to reduce pressure itself, plus another sleeve of vents that's going in an opposite direction, which helps cause more turbulence in here to kind of balance out the difference of reduced back pressure, venting all of that gas forward, but still doing a handful of different things to slow it down and hold it in there long to help reduce sound, temperature, all of that other fun stuff that suppressors do. Now let's talk about why we are here, and that is performance. So starting off 9mm. I even threw this thing on an MP5 and took it to a match. You're on finished, unload, show clear. We're not supposed to use a machine gun, but I was having a grand old time. And with 9mm, this thing, short or long configuration, really feels like it's just a dedicated 9mm can. This was a very interesting design because on 9mm, 38, and 308, and 6.5 Creedmoor, and 7.62 by 3.9, it sounded dedicated. It really sounds like this suppressor was made for those calibers. Now on 5.56, if you're going to put it side by side to something that's dedicated, that dedicated can might do better if that dedicated suppressor was made in the last couple years. But still, nonetheless, even in short and long configuration, it sounds really nice. That being said, it is all titanium. You are going to get sparks. I haven't put enough rounds downrange to really feel like, you know, we've worn this thing in enough, although we do have a little bit of color from dumping machine guns through it. But we will eventually do a flash test on it because people want to see a flash test. But at the end of the day, this thing isn't going to be your, you know, super secret squirrel night operations kind of gun. What this thing is for that guy who wants a suppressor that they can bounce around from anything. And it really doesn't lack in any department when it comes to that. I've really been loving it on 9mm. On this 7.62 by 3.9 8-inch Galil, but they didn't give us a barrel restriction, so we're gonna see if it can handle the 8-inch 8.3 something metric. It's not bad at all. I like that a lot. Hold on. You look shocked.
Let me take my ear. Go ahead.
How is it doing that?
It's even cycling.
It's cycling.
It
One,
sounds
I've never
so
seen it
good.
cycle suppressed. But two, like I can handle that. Let's put it in short.
Okay.
That gun itself is obnoxious. It's not even fun to shoot unsuppressed. It just rattles your skull and sinuses.
Oh God.
We tossed this thing on there, and even in short configuration, it was comfortable to shoot.
It sounds so good. That's so doable. Even in the short configuration.
It was comfortable to even shoot without ear pro. Not that I recommend that, but it did it. We also didn't need to put a K&S piston on it, and those guns are notorious for being overgassed out of the box, and really any form of back pressure you get is just going to make that gun run faster than the magazine. Let's talk about back pressure. All right, so while we have like the RBS XH series, and those have a 1.9% back pressure, I don't know what the back pressure is on this. I will say it is reduced. It is very low, and most people won't experience this. We did a 90 round mag dump, 60 and a 30 round mag out of 5.56, and at the 30 round mark, we were starting to get a little bit of gas in the eyes. Now, that wasn't like gas jetting out and getting to your face like many standard cans. You know, by the 5th round, your eyes are starting to water. It did take 30 cyclic to get there, and that gas was just kind of hovering around the ejection port area. But nonetheless, we haven't experienced that with the SRBS or the XH series suppressors. So there's a little more back pressure to this, and that was using, you know, the 223 end cap on this suppressor while shooting 5.56 223 ammo. I'm sure if we put the 9mm end cap on there, it may sacrifice a little bit of sound, but also cut back on that gas just a hair. One problem, it's not really a problem with the design itself, I guess it's a problem in humans, is if you do find yourself really liking one of these, grabbing one, going for it, please, please, please remember to change the end caps depending on what you're using. There was about 2-3 different times where I popped this on a 5.56 gun, had all of my fun going through with it, took it off, immediately threw it on 9mm, and didn't rip the end cap off because I stopped myself beforehand, but did have to remember very last minute to change that end cap. Don't send a 9mm round or a 300 blackout or a 7.62 round through your 223 end cap, because it's just not going to end out well. It's probably going to blow it out. Hopefully it just destroys your end cap, but just try to avoid that. Keep thinking. Remember, this is a multi-cal suppressor that is modular with different adjustments and parts and pieces, so think about what you're doing before you do it. I had to break this down by individual calibers that we tried. Starting with 5.56, it's about, say, like 85% of the way there compared to a dedicated 5.56 suppressor. When it comes to 38 special, this thing sounds like you were popping just a little mini bag of chips. It is comical how quiet that thing is in short and long. For 7.62 by 3.9, this thing blew away my Wolverine. This thing was way better than a Sandman. It just feels like it was made for it, and it's lightweight. We're talking 11 ounces full configuration, 7 ounces in the short configuration. Perfect for stuff like that. 6.5 Creedmoor. I've never actually heard a dedicated 6.5 Creedmoor can in person, so I don't have anything to compare that off of. What I will say is that we used one of my buddy's guns. He's always shot his Sandman on there, and he was absolutely amazed by its performance, short and long, across the board on that one. So with 6.5, without having anything really else to compare it to besides just 30 cal cans, I'm gonna say that this thing does really well.
That's way quieter than the Sandman. There's no crack, dude. You hear that?
Yeah,
It's
just a little bit in this ear, I feel it.
it's way more pronounced than the B&T.
308. Now that is where I think this thing shines. I mean, as a 9mm can, this thing is awesome. Dedicated 9, go for it. But 308 really amazed me. I mean, we had this on a 308 16-inch barrel, short configuration, and we were shooting it without ringing our ears behind and next to the gun. I mean, it felt like it was made for it. I'm good.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, who is this suppressor for? What is the best use for it? And, you know, like, why would you be getting it? So, if you're a dedicated kind of guy and you got a suppressor for a gun, or you're like, I got a suppressor for each caliber and I'll move that around each gun, I think you can squeeze out a little bit more performance. Sometimes, you know, you start getting into Mark 12s and stuff like that, a significant amount of performance out of a dedicated can than using this. But if you're the kind of guy who's like, hey, I want a 9mm suppressor, it's my first one, I'm also got X, Y, and Z. Or, you know, I don't know if I want to buy a bunch of suppressors because that's a $200 stamp each time. This is going to be your option. This will cover a lot. I mean, you got 8.6 blackout, which is 338 Lapua Magnum, and that is rated for it. You got 300 Win Mag, 243, 300 blackouts, all the various 7.62 calibers, essentially a 350 Legend. If your bullet is smaller than a 9mm diameter, it's good. As always, thank you guys for watching. It's you guys that have us keep doing this stuff and checking it out. And really go out, support our sponsor, Vbd-Retail, LLC, which I believe they have a website, which is pretty cool. Those guys themselves are pretty cool. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting our channel. Throw comments in there. Ask us questions. We love to answer this stuff. We did this because we want to go the extra mile. Previously in the past, I've gotten stuff from places, and I was very disappointed in what I received and found out that the person who told me X, Y, and Z had never used it before. So that's why we do this, and we put in our own time to do that so that you aren't left disappointed in a choice that you made. Keep tabs on us. Like, comment, share, whatever you got to do. Get our name out there. I believe we're mostly shadow banned on all various social medias, so we must be doing something right. But keep an eye out. Next we are doing the Mark 12 hub and the Mark 12 suppressor review. In general, there is some cool stuff, especially once we start talking about previous designs versus current designs, how they differ, how they perform, and how that applies to various suppressors that have been in production in the past and have just been released across the board. So, thank you guys for watching, and as always,
I feel like I'm in Vietnam.
Told you guys. I fucking told you. Remember when it was announced?
With the Mark 12 hub, and I was like, this is so sweet!
I told you guys this can was going to be it, dude. You watch, when the reviews start coming out and people start catching on to how good it is, they're going to sell like fucking crazy.